Good afternoon. I'm Jim MacPherson. I am the host of the discussion today for the Bainbridge Island Senior and Community Center. We have two fabulous guests with us today and something to talk about, uh, to tell us all about the current Asian Art and Cultural Festival and Arts and Humanities Bainbridge, two very important things to talk about. Before we do that, let's first tell you that Something to Talk About is sponsored by the Fieldstone Communities of Bainbridge Island. Fieldstone offers assisted and independent living, along with a vibrant memory care community. It's located on a tranquil Rolling Bay campus. It's a beautiful location. If you haven't been there, certainly check it out. Fieldstone also has a day stay and respite care program. So you can call 206-594-1010, or you can email them or check them out at their website at fieldstonecommunities.com. And of course, you can always drop by for a tour. Anyway, let's pass it off to Stephanie Reese to tell us a little bit about her background and this wonderful festival that we're right in the middle of now. Stephanie, why don't you fill us in on all of that?
Hi, well, thank you for having us. First of all, it's an honor and a pleasure to be here and to talk about this thing that I feel so passionate about. I moved to Bainbridge Island about 5 years ago when I got married to Matthew Coates, my husband. And when I first came to the island, I'm originally from Seattle. I'm a singer and an actress, and my career has taken me all over the world. And I was still traveling a lot when we first got married. But when I first came to the island, um, I experienced the 4th of July parade, and I experienced Halloween and all these small town things that I had never experienced. But I just remember very vividly that they closed off Winslow Way, and I saw all of this celebration. And the first thing I asked Matthew was, "Oh, so when's the Asian festival? When do they do something, with Asian culture here?" Because I did know the history of the island and about the Japanese and Filipino farmer history. I did not know about the Indo-Pino culture yet at that time. And he said, "Oh, there is no Asian festival here." Yeah, and he said, "There's a mochi celebration, and I heard about the Strawberry Festival, but there's not like an Asian festival here downtown Windsor or anything like that." And I said, "Why not?" And he said, "Well, I don't know. They just don't have one." And so my mind started reeling, and I thought, "But they have." And as I started to know the community more, um, I just had the steadfast belief that it needed to happen. And I started to meet other Asian people in the community, and I started to learn about the history of the island more and more through the years that I was living here. And all the more I was impassioned that this had to happen. And the more people that I talked to, Asian and non-Asian, the more people said to me, "Oh yeah, we need to have that. We should totally have an Asian festival." And when I went to Clarence Moriwaki, our city councilman, and I said, "Clarence, he's Japanese." I was like, "Clarence, how can we have an Asian festival on the island? It needs to happen." And he said, "You should go to Arts and Humanities Bainbridge." And I said, "I'm on the board." And he said, "Well, then why are you talking to me?" And that's kind of where I was like, "Well, I didn't think to ask Arts and Humanities Bainbridge. I didn't know our board could do something like that, or our organization could." And I'd say probably at that time, um, even in passing talking about it, it wasn't something our past board really conceptualized and understood in terms of my vision. But it is a new era with Arts and Humanities Bainbridge, and everyone is very passionate about it. When we started putting this into play because of the Creative Arts District, and that we had done a festival a couple of years ago, so we kind of knew a little bit about it. And in my career, because I am a singer, I used to sing at these kinds of festivals all over the United States and abroad, different Asian festivals and Filipino festivals. And so the first thing I did when the board said, "Well, we're interested, let's talk about it," I realized I didn't know how to do a festival. All I knew how to do was to perform at a festival. So I reached out to a very dear friend, Al Perez in San Francisco, who has the largest and longest running Filipino festival in the United States. And I said, please, can you help me? I want to know how to do this. And he said, well, first of all, you should probably do it during Asian American Hawaiian Pacific Islander Month. And I was like, oh, right, that's a great idea. And I'm like, well, that's just like, you know, 5 months away. And he's like, yeah, it's cutting it close, this, but you could, so I went to the board and we talked about it. And the beauty of this with Arts and Humanities Bainbridge and Patty and the rest of the board is that it went from being this big shiny festival that I had envisioned on Winslow Way, where we shut down the street and everyone does the thing, to all these relationships that we have in the community with Bainbridge Arts and Crafts, with the bookstore, with EPA, to then create highlighted events throughout the month, so the festival became more than just the end big festival that we think of when we think of the word festival. It became all these events that Arts and Humanities Bainbridge is known for, like highlighting authors, highlighting artists, but of course in this month and for the Asian Festival is highlighting Asian artists and writers and really building bridges between that community, our Asian community here, and the different businesses and different venues and different audiences, really. And so that's sort of how this all came to be. We had a Filipino Indopino Heritage Night last night at BPA that you attended. Thank you for coming. And it was fabulous, but it was intergenerational. And I would say I just want to say this because I think it's really important, is that one of the things that really happened is at the time I was the only Asian person on the board, and everyone said, yes, let's do it, let's go. And we had all these beautiful ideas for the month and for the festival. The thing that we didn't really take into mind at first and course corrected very quickly, thank goodness, was what we should have done first was say, well, that's a great idea. Let's go to the Asian community on the island and the different organizations and find out what they would like to do,
Right.
And because what it started to become was poster child me for AHB saying, I want to do a festival, but not going the other way around first. So we course corrected quickly. I joined the board for the Filipino community. We engaged with the Japanese community, and Patty was there. We went to, and then we couldn't get Winslow Way. It was too much red tape for the time frame we had. And the beauty of building bridges in the different communities is that the Filipino community immediately said, well, you can use our venue. We'd love for you to use our venue. You can have the festival here and we'll work together. And one of their asks in that was, maybe you guys could let people know about our Strawberry Festival, because we're not great at advertising and we don't really publicize it, for example. And so we had our meeting, our first official meeting for the festival was at the Filipino Community Center, and some of our board members or our volunteers who have lived on the island many years have never been to that venue. It's been there since how long, Patty?
I say the late 40s?
Yeah, 1940s.
I think they said that, but I'm not sure.
And it was founded by 5 Filipino farmers, and the history of that space alone, it's a great honor to do it there. And it was amazing because then suddenly we went from our AHB board to having people from the Japanese community, the Filipino community, the Indopino community, and us, and we had, Ron, who does film, and all these people were in one room together. And that's just something that you don't see at regular, on boards from both sides. You don't see such a mix of culture. And I think, and it makes me emotional saying this, but I think it was in that moment that I was like, this is it. This is the thing. It's about all of us. And Al, my friend who advised me for the festival, the most important message he gave me over everything else, more than sponsorships, more than advice about vendors and community, was he said, turn no one away. Don't make this that you have to be Asian to participate. Anyone showing up is showing their support for Asian culture and for culture itself. So let everyone participate and let everyone showing up show that they are united with the message of culture. And that changed my life, that statement. And so now everybody feels included in, now we have board members from all different places volunteering for the Strawberry Festival on Friday or Saturday and Friday. They're setting up people who never showed up to that. We have more volunteers than we ever expected. Last night for the show, we had so many volunteers, they didn't have anything to do. They just came back to the dressing room to hang out. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. And I just wanted Patty to say something especially about it because, like you, she's been on the island a long time, and HB has always been a very inclusive environment. It's just that if you don't have the bridge built, it's hard for people. It's hard to include people when you don't know people to include on both sides of that.
Well, let me ask you a couple questions here, Stephanie. So now that we have that background, let's talk about the fact that you're advertising this as the first annual. Why don't you give us a sense of how perhaps this experience and that you've just explained to us, how you're now going to maybe envision and continue to re-envision how these cultures and all these cultures can interact, and how Arts and Humanities Bainbridge might in fact stay a part of that. So maybe Patty could also chime in after you give us a couple comments there, Stephanie.
Yeah. So yes, first annual, because we are not thinking we're not thinking small in terms of we want. I mean, we're a little engine that could. We're a board of 6 people, and Patty's advice to us when we had a lot of ideas was like, keep it simple this first year. This is the foundation. You know, and her experience with the Bloom was the original Bloom was like really, really valuable to us because we had grandiose ideas, and really the beauty of what she said was, next year we can have that next year. And I'm like, that's right, next year. And so what started out as, yeah, this, we're going to do a festival, turned into, wait, no, this is a legacy, not even just for AHB, it's for the island. It is something that we believe will grow and grow, and it's already doing it this month. We've had people reaching out for next year, wanting to do a highlighted event, wanting to be a speaker, wanting to offer their talents, but they weren't available this year. We had an idea, for example, this year of doing a tea ceremony at Liddell. We just didn't have the infrastructure to do it this year, but then
But they didn't have time this year.
Yeah, they did.
So I already sort of have a date picked with them next year. So for sure, I think we'll do something. I used to volunteer there.
Yeah, and that was the exciting thing too, is we didn't even have the tea ceremony person, and then they reached out to us and said, we're not available this year, we're available next year. So we've had, this month has been a month of, I would say every day I get somebody already talking about next year and wanting to participate, new people wanting to participate this year, which tells me that the community wants this and wants this for, for years to come. And while it was an idea I had, I don't believe it was just my idea. I think everyone has thought, wow, wouldn't that be great? But it's just about being a doer and making it happen so other people can offer their talents, expertise, culture, and education to our community. And I can't wait to see where it will grow into. I still envision that it will be an island-wide celebration where things will be happening, not just stuff that AHB sponsors and facilitates, but that everyone will go, oh my gosh, Asian American Hawaiian Pacific Islander Month is coming. What's my restaurant going to do? Or who are we going to book this month at Weave because this month is happening? And who are we featuring? That we've started a movement is what I'm hoping.
Stephanie, let me cut in here because I do think it's an opportunity for you to give us some thoughts about where we are now. I mean, we're halfway through the month or close to the end of the month, and a number of things have already occurred. But there are some exciting things on your plate, and this is your opportunity to sort of tell our people what to expect over the next couple of weeks, and maybe even tell them, haha, maybe you missed some wonderful things like the movie and other things like that. But let's get a sense of what we can expect throughout the rest of your festival that's ongoing.
So, to tell you, first, what we already had was last night, we had the Filipino Heritage Night. We showed Honor Thy Mother, the beautiful movie produced by Gina Corpus, who is an Indopino woman and it's about indigenous women and who married Filipino farmers and their children and their experience. And in that evening, we had the Strawberry Royal Court was presented. I sang, and we had my students who were dancers, and it was a very beautiful night at BPA. We also we were at the night market at the Moonlight Market, and we had a live painter, Francis Alao. He's a Filipino painter, and he was painting live, and we, and we're raffling off for our June 1st event. So I guess I'll talk now about what's to come. Wednesday, we have our Japanese Heritage Night at Bainbridge Arts and Crafts. We are so excited for this night. Michaela Omoto, who also happens to be my niece, is singing Japanese music. And she'll be wearing her traditional kimono, and she's just 16 years old, and she has a magnificent voice. And I mentioned that only because that she's 16, because I just want to emphasize it's intergenerational. We're trying to get young people in touch with culture. And then we have Clarence Morawaki, who is our city council member. He will be giving a talk about the Japanese American experience and about the Japanese about the memorial sites
and about them being removed
and
from the island.
Yes. And yes, and then Dylan Tomine, who's also an author, and his mother, Satsuki Ina, they're both authors, and she was also in an internment camp. And they both wrote books, and they'll be speaking on their books, and they'll be signing books afterwards at Eagle Harbor. And we also have a sushi platter and sake being served, so that will be a wonderful night. The Strawberry Festival is this Saturday with the Filipino American community. And there'll be chicken adobo and pancit and cultural dancing, and the new Strawberry Royal Court will be appointed. And then, of course, what we're very excited about is our June 1st Grand Festival celebration. And this is, it's going to be amazing. We have the taiko drummers, Japanese drummers are coming. We have the Japanese harp players. We have, we have lots of singers. We have the Filipino folk dancers. We have hula dancing performed, polyfit, which gets the audience involved. We also have Matt Gervais and his brother Mikey. They're in the band The Head and the Heart. They're playing. We also, and we have a ton of amazing food being served. We have Finders Keepers is doing an entire Asian street food, like 8 different dishes, from pot stickers to chicken skewers to Korean fried chicken, and we have sauced food truck. One Two Kai Kitchen is doing Asian style pizza, and one thing that I really love is Teriyaki Town and Sauce Nouvelle. Sauce Nouvelle is a sandwich shop, and they happen to be next door to Teriyaki Town. And Nick from Sauce Nouvelle told me, I want to combine with Teriyaki Town because people think they just do teriyaki, but because I'm next door to them, they're incredible chefs, and they need to be celebrated for the other things they know how to do. So this is what community is like, combining and learning about one another's cultures and presenting that to people. And then the last thing I want to say about the June 1st Festival is we have cultural education booths that are being run mostly by young people. a Japanese cultural booth, a Melanesian cultural booth, um, Indopino, and African American, and all these booths will be interactive, where kids can learn about different cultures, and we have these little makeshift passports, and they will get stickers when they learn something at each booth, and then HB gives them a prize at the end if they fill their passport. Lots of kids games, mahjong being played in the community center while we have the festival outside. There's just so much that we're offering, and really, I just think it's fun to tell you that just 2 months ago, I had one food truck and one vendor. And within this amount of time from 2 months, even in the past 3 weeks, just people coming forward to help and contribute and do stuff. So this whole community has come together. We even have a guy bringing bonsai to show us how to do bonsai at the festival. I mean, it's really fun.
Tell us again, Stephanie, where you got to tell us where and what the times are.
So June 1st is the big festival is from 11 to 4 at the Filipino American Community Hall on High School Road. And the Japanese Cultural Night is Wednesday, May 29th, and that is at 6:30 at Bainbridge Arts and Crafts.
Great. Now you also, I think maybe we could say it now, but highlight it again at the end. You have some kind of a drawing or something that you're encouraging people to get
Oh,
involved.
yes, sorry, go. How can I get?
Let's
So
talk
the
about
reason she's having to talk is that she's done everything. I mean, literally everything. So, and I'm just thrilled. So go ahead.
Oh my gosh, Patty is like,
I try to be the calm mother.
She's
just to make sure, and support her. And I deal with things like parking, where are the cars going to be, and the permits, and I do the permit with the parks, and so that kind of stuff. She does all of the dramatic.
dramatic
Yeah, yeah.
But I can't do anything without Patty, so that's the funny thing. I really can't. Things I don't think of, she's already done. I'm like, oh yeah, parking. I guess I should think about how people are going to get there. And it's hard to do it all, but we do have a great little team of volunteers and people, but it takes a village to do this. So yes, the exciting raffle. I will start big with Philippine Airlines is our big sponsor, and they gave us one round trip ticket from Seattle to Manila, which will also include a round trip ticket from Manila to Cebu, which is a beautiful resort beach town in the Philippines. And we have tickets to the Kraken, to the hockey team game, and they're beautiful seats. And we have a Sounders jersey that just arrived, signed by the team, and a ball, also signed by the team. We have one night stay at the Clearwater Casino. We have a beauty package from Johnny Lucky, is that his name? And we have 1 month of pinball at your house. Bainbridge Pinball will bring a pinball machine to your home, and you get to have it for 1 month, and then they take it back. But like, you can invite your friends, have parties. What else do we have, Patty? Really, it's been so fun.
I think most of the people are, and the tickets are $20.
No, 10.
10. Oh,
They're
that's right.
only 10 bucks.
Only 10.
Yeah.
And most people buy 2. That's
Yeah.
why I said the 20. But that's the one they're really excited about.
Yeah.
And
I know, it's
yeah.
so fun. We have so many good prizes. And so
we're only selling 500.
that's right.
And last time, I think we got up to 288.
Yeah.
So we've sold 288, and we have
Only, yeah, and we're going to be selling at the Strawberry Festival. We'll be selling, of course, at the and at the Japanese Cultural Night. But
we also sold at TNC.
Oh yeah, we
We
did.
may go back to TNC to
Yeah.
try and
So-
get up to the 500 number.
Yeah, I know. I have some friends who are like, don't get up to the 500 level so that we have a better chance of winning the flight.
Exactly. And
Great. We'll make sure that so
we
everybody.
can buy a ticket.
We can't.
Okay, so everybody knows about that. We do have one of our participants here asking to be recognized. Rita has a question for us. Rita, why don't you go ahead?
Well, so I was going to ask you where you could buy the raffle tickets. I had.
let's go over that again. There
Yeah.
are
Where can you buy raffle tickets?
so where TNC and where else? Where else?
TNC if we're there. Otherwise, you can come find us at HB and go online and just write us a message you want to buy some on our email.
They also can scan the thing and buy it out
They
online.
can't buy
Oh,
it.
they can't buy the raffle.
No,
That's right, because I
unfortunately, no.
forgot.
They don't allow us to do it. But if not, if you don't go online and email us, then you can see us live at the Japanese cultural night at Bainbridge Arts and Crafts on Wednesday at 6:30, or you can buy them at the Strawberry Festival this Friday or Saturday at the Filipino American Community Center, and that starts at 12.
And if you know someone that's on the board, you just call us.
Yes.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah,
'cause
I'll just meet you somewhere if you want to.
okay, because I'm out of town all weekend.
Yeah.
And so I was just wondering where, and then the other question is, are you guys going to have circulator buses? Since you're having this stuff at, up on High School Road, it's not easily walkable and parking is a booger. And so many people would rather not drive. And so,
Yeah, I'm on that, and I haven't.
oh, good. I figured
I'm
you
the
were.
one working the buses, and so, we've got the permission to park at Strawberry Hill Park. And I counted, and there are 101 parking spots. If you go way back,
Oh, great.
and Dan Hamlin has written all the teams and suggesting that they not have a game that day, so that we'd have all of that parking.
And then you have a volunteer to help direct parking, so people
Oh,
can
yeah,
find.
we have people that will be helping with that. We have two.
Perfect.
And
That's
then-
great. You guys are doing a great job. I can help you next year. I just am out of town this year.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
But the other thing we may do at the end, I was calculating from the Lutheran Church parking lot, and it's only 0.06 miles to them. And I was thinking I might talk to BI Ride and see if they would have a bus that would, and that we could tell people, even when they came up, if they just go down to Lutheran Church, they can get on a bus. So that's the other thing. And the other thing, I was going to talk to Reed to see if he had enough people from your, the senior center, except that you're usually closed on Saturdays, right? Aren't you
Yes.
closed? Yeah, anyway, that maybe we'd get that bus. So I'm still working on that. I'm waiting to see how many tickets we sell. And anyway, we're working on it.
Good. That sounds great. And we're halfway through the thing here. I guess I kind of want to backtrack just a little bit. Stephanie, I had mentioned this before we started the meeting, this Oregon thing, is that you kind of have a unique background, a personal background in history that I have read about that people don't understand about your cultural history. And maybe I'm making a reach here, but it could be a driving force for you personally, that because we see how enthusiastic you are about this. Maybe you could help us understand your enthusiasm.
Oh my gosh, yes. So my father is half Japanese and half Caucasian, and my mom is half Chinese and half Filipino. And I think that that's probably why an all-inclusive event feels at home to me, because when you grow up as a mixed race person, and that was something that I related to a lot in the movie we watched last night, you feel like you belong sort of to any one of those groups, but not really. You're kind of in your own category, and the only people who actually share your exact culture are your siblings. So I always feel like me and my sisters, we float between different cultures. My older sister married a Japanese American man, so she's floated towards our Japanese culture more. And my little sister and I are kind of similar, that we float more between our Filipino and our Caucasian side, because of my relatives in Seattle. So that mix of us is sort of why I can just look at maybe from a bird's eye view about Asian being very non-specific, because the next generations of us are all pretty mixed, when it comes to Asian, and that's a beautiful thing. And And so, yeah, I am very passionate about it. I feel like this journey of discovery of all these different cultures here on the island was a self-discovery for me. I got to learn more about Japanese culture and what happened with the Japanese because of this journey. I got to know more about Filipino American roots, not just my Filipino roots in the Philippines. Um, I'm still learning about my Chinese roots, maybe not so much because of the island, but because I made it a personal journey. And then my own father, this is kind of an interesting story that I don't even think I told you that, but when my dad was a little boy, his father fought the Japanese in the Philippines, and long story short, he had a stroke and when he came back to the States. His veteran care home, nursing home, was on Bainbridge Island. And it's where Fieldstone is now. And my dad, as a little boy, had to take the ferry by himself because they couldn't afford to come as a family. And he would take the ferry and a bus to go see his dad in the Veterans Hospital. So, in this funny way, my roots are really like there's some weird tie-in here for me about Bainbridge Island. That's the only way I knew of Bainbridge Island as a child, is that my dad would come here to visit his dad. And so now I'm like, all my roots are like somehow like being learned about by living here. And it's a beautiful thing. And also even when I watched the movie last night and I've gone to some of these speaker events, every time I hear someone speak of Pearl Harbor and then what happened, it is literally my history. My parents met because of, well, my dad was a product of that war. My parents met because of the Vietnam War, because my dad was stationed at Clark Air Force Base in the Philippines. And so without Pearl Harbor and Vietnam, there would be no me and Jennifer and Melissa, my sisters. So there's some kind of thing that I'm learning about, and it's made me even more passionate that we have education as part of this festival and that we have celebration also. What I spoke to you guys before this recording was we have a lot of tough history also, but on the island even specifically with the prejudice and the things we learned about in the movie last night or what happened to the Japanese. But where we are now should be the celebration. And so to end with celebration is the most beautiful thing that I feel the community can do. We start with educating and saying this happened, and now look at us. We're all here together, unified. So that is in my bloodline, I think.
Right. And I'll quickly ask a question and let Rita jump in too. You've talked about Arts and Humanities Bainbridge a little bit here, and it seems like they are a major sponsor of this thing. What is Arts and Humanities Bainbridge, and why should we pay attention to it, Patty?
Well, Arts and Humanities Bainbridge, I'm trying to think what their first year was, but it was quite a while ago. I should be better on my history. But we have evolved through many different times. And what most people know about us is Bainbridge and Bloom, and so I don't need to go back, other than it became a very large event. We'd have a couple thousand people come. And that was just about when I came in early 2000. And in fact, their main hub was at the high school when they had all these vendors, and then we had buses that took us. But what happened is, as more garden events started like Gig Harbor had one, a couple in Bellevue. So we weren't so unique because we used to get lots of people coming here. So it got smaller and smaller. And so we actually ended up, the hub for ours was at the Filipino American Hall for the last maybe 8 years or 9 years. And our enrollment just kept going, our attendance just kept going. I was a teacher, that's why I said enrollment, and an educator. But so our attendance went down to where, and then we would pay someone to coordinate it because it's so involved. And then the money for that took in most of what we would make. So we just said it wasn't worth the time. I ran it 8 years and I didn't take any money. And I worked on it round the clock. And it was a great event. People still miss it, but I could find no one else that wanted to do that. And so I stayed on the board and I continued to do, I got very involved. Right now, COVID came and it changed us dramatically. We had arts and education in all of our schools, and that was a really big program. That was where we had a collection of artists that had different talents, and we would go out to the schools, mainly with the PTA and with the faculty, and we'd tell them the kind of artists we have, that what they could do. And so the teachers would decide how that would work with their curriculum, and they would meet with the artists they had selected, and they would do this program over maybe 2 or 3 days in the classroom. But it was culture, it was curriculum based, and it was very big and very important. And I was one of the ones that went in and observed the lessons and evaluated the artists to see if we'd let them come back in the next year. And I talked to the kids. Anyway, so that was huge. And that took a lot of time. But
We had public art.
yeah, when we had public art.
We still have that.
We still have public art. And I was on public art just recently. Now I'm on the creative district one. But I was on public art, which is one of our committees that is under Arts and Humanities umbrella. So we had arts and education, we had public art, and there was a third one, and why am I drawing blank?
Well, and now we have the creative arts.
Right, right, and now but anyway, it was mainly arts and ed, and it was the Bloom. And then we had different kinds of grants that we got to keep. Well, we had to keep someone in payment. We had to hire someone to run the office, and so it was, you had those sort of things. But but we've changed so much that this coming up is really quite wonderful.
Yeah, and I think that we want to bring back arts and education now that COVID has subsided somewhat, and we want. And we changed our mission statement. We're connecting the community through art and culture. And that was a very different mission statement for us. So now Arts and Humanities Bainbridge, at least I feel, we're leaning a little bit more into our humanities part with art, as opposed to just really being known for doing the public art committee and getting artist grants. And we do still want to do that, and we're very excited to be able to give money to local artists.
That's the other thing.
That
was one, I can't remember what the main umbrella, but they applied for this, and it was a couple $1,000, I think, that we got.
Yeah.
And we usually pick about 3 to 5 artists, and they would come and present and tell us what they needed it for, and then they would show us. And some of it was for research, and some of it was for education, some of it was for writing a book, and different things. So those were the 3 things, and really it was about all we could handle.
Yeah.
And
but I think now we're trying to do things that really involve the community a little bit more and get us more engaged with different parts.
Of course, what we're experiencing right now is some of that with this festival. We have a question from Rita. Rita, why don't you go ahead?
Oh, I was going to say last Saturday night, and I don't know if you know, she was here, Mitzi Loftus.
I was there.
I happened to be at the art museum being a docent, and she walked through with a couple of her sons, and they said, oh, she's going to be speaking at the bookstore. So my friend Anita and I went, and she is amazing. And I'm telling you, her handwriting, because she signed the book, her handwriting for being 92, I mean, it is amazing. And she's just got so much history, and she's just got she is a sweet, sweet woman. Just amazing. Amazing.
She really is. She's part of our lineup event. Yeah, we advertised that event as one of the highlights. That night, that was life-changing, seeing her speak. Rita, that was one of the nights that I was thinking about my own history so much. I felt like I understood my own family and the nuances of why my grandmother was so, you know, had a silence about being Asian. Um,
Yeah.
that it really things we don't speak of in our family and that about that time period from my grandmother, and then hearing her speak about it, I had a better understanding of my own family. It was such a beautiful evening.
It was just delightful. And then I must say, Patty and I worked on the Bloom. We were, our home was on the Bloom in 2014. Patty, I'm sure, thought that would never happen when she saw it in February. It was
It was a gorgeous one.
It was one of the best things. I mean, that our family did, my daughters and myself. It was my daughter's house, but home. But it was one of those things. But sometimes things, you have them and then stuff changes. And so it was an awesome time, but there are so many awesome other opportunities that we all have in the community to be able to carry on.
All right, well, let's let Ann ask a question here. She's got her
Sure.
hand up. What's up,
Hi.
Ann?
Yeah, that brings that back to me too, Patty. I remember
Yeah.
a number of years when I wrote all the descriptions of the gardens for Bainbridge and Bloom, and my gardens, different ones were on that Bloom tour a number of times too. And that was such an amazing endeavor. And I'm thinking, knowing how you operate, I'm expecting that in the years to come, we're going to be seeing a whole month of really interesting activities. And what I would like to know is how can we at the Senior Center participate and help? Like this month, we did show part 2 of Honor Thy Mother, which was kind of an updated version with some of the interviews that didn't get to be used in the first version, which we've showed a couple times too. And we'll certainly show both of those again next year. And we always have a tour to take people to the Japanese American Memorial Exclusion Memorial. And we've been so blessed to have Lily be our docent, Lily Kodama be our docent. In fact, we were able to do a video of her with a camera that captures that soft, beautiful voice of hers, because usually you can't hear her. So, and she told so many great stories. She always does. So we have that in our archive too. Like all these programs like this one will go on our archives, and anybody who wants to can look it up and see. And often we'll run them again in an appropriate time to give it another, airing, I guess you could say. But we would love to be supportive. And so I'm just saying, consider that we have this wonderful facility as well. And if there's an event that you could see doing at Waterfront Park that could use a green room or could use CUNY Hall as an art exhibit or something like that, we would love to participate.
100%.
Yeah. And you know what? I actually Reed is on our advisory board for AHB. And that was when we just laid on, we said we should have, connected. We just didn't have enough time.
Oh, yeah.
For sure, we should have, because you guys, if I'm I'm a member. If I wasn't doing all of this volunteering and taking care of a very ill husband, I would be down at the senior center all the time.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm hoping that next year you could be like part of it, and you would have somebody from your organization that would come down and sit on our committee as planning it.
Yes, that's what I want to. And I also already, like with people who've reached out for this year, I already see like Soul Joy, Anna Choi is doing a Qigong, Korean Qigong and Tai Chi thing. And I know she would love to, she wanted a highlighted event. And I think that's something that we could have at the senior center with seniors. And she does a meditation. And I mean, that would be beautiful. I also know that there's a group that wants to do Mahjong and teach Mahjong. And I know that that's also a really fun activity. And bingo, we did bingo at the Filipino Community Hall. And we had a grand time. It was part of the Asian Festival also, but it would be great to do it there. And
well, we do, Stephanie, we do. We have bingo every Friday, and it's
I didn't know
and
that.
a lot of people who are there are from the Filipino community. We have also, we have Tai Chi. We have 2 kinds of Mahjong, American and Asian.
Well,
right?
they need to come on
I
June
know,
4th.
we do. I mean, we have all that already in place.
Maybe we could get them just a booth. and
That's
they
what I
can
was just gonna ask. If
I
you
was
could-
thinking maybe we have a day next year where we have the senior center shows off its Asian chops
But
or
you can
something.
start
And we
this
have
year.
a mahjong competition, we have a demonstration of Tai Chi, we have a tea ceremony, we have, there's a lot of things we could do. So let's be thinking how fun that could be, right? Because we'll bring in the art elements.
Yeah.
Well, this is an example of first annual, and if the senior center and we're all part of it can slip in there and be a part of it,
Yeah.
I'm sure we would love to be included.
Could you guys do something this year if we had a booth for you? Because we have these cultural educational booths, and they don't have to be Asian. They don't have to even be a country. They could just be something that you want to show, and it could have a cultural element to it. But we would love for you to have presence there, and like I said, there is going to be mahjong in the community hall. You have mahjong players, but also if you just wanted a booth, there are so many people that I know would love to know about what you offer there.
They would
Well,
be-
just if you, but Patty, you probably still have my email. I think you probably
Oh,
do.
yeah. Sure.
And Stephanie, I think I gave it to you too. So why don't you shoot me an email? I'll see what we can put together with the date. Tell me what you're looking for, the date and the hours.
Yeah.
And if we can do it, we'll do it.
Okay.
If we're not already booked out, we will
We'll
put
be
something
contacting
together.
you. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
that's so great, Anne. Thank you.
Well,
One of the things about do have 1,700 members, but we're still pretty flexible about how we can adapt and put things together pretty fast. Rita, as knows that very well.
Oh yeah, we actually have a booth that's ready to go pretty much any time.
We do.
That's so, and if you guys also come on Wednesday, we would love more people to attend our Japanese cultural night at Bainbridge Arts and Crafts. If you have members that
Yeah, you can advertise it or
please
something.
please
Yeah.
let them know, because it really will. If you liked the evening at Eagle Harbor, Rita, I think you'll love this evening that we're offering. And there's wine and sake and sushi as well.
Which is donated by TNC.
Yeah.
You forgot to mention that.
Yes,
Yeah,
I forgot,
TNC's. Yeah.
Well, maybe we could add that to our Monday announcement to our members.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you about it.
Lena's on and Rita's on, so between them they can put that together.
I think
Yeah,
that's.
I'll email you guys too. For June.
Yeah, so send any particulars like that to Rita and Lena.
Now, I want to briefly touch on something for you anyway, Stephanie, because I had a little tear in my eye last night, learning that your students are leaving you, and it was a very kind of an emotional moment, considering how talented those two little girls are. Why don't you? I'll give you just an opportunity here to cry a little bit and tell you that they will, when they're famous, they will talk about you. So you need to have that. But that's an example of using your culture as a way of bringing on the next generation, which I'm sure is critical to your thinking. So why don't you? We only have about 10 minutes left here, but maybe you could give us a sense of the future for those that are following us.
Oh my gosh, absolutely. Well, I'll speak on Annalise and Amelia Kelly first. They and their sister Adriana. That family is an incredible family, and yes, they blew everyone's mind last night. When I say these two little girls can dance, I feel like when I brag about them to friends and say, you can't believe my students, they assume that they're great little dancers. They don't assume that they almost read as adults when they dance, and they're only 10. They are they've worked so hard. They win every competition they enter across the United States in dance. And their older sister, who's 14, Adriana, got into the American Ballet Theater. She's at that conservatory at only age 14. She got in at age 13 in the summer, and they found out that within 2 weeks, they had to make a decision as a family whether or not they would let her study there for the next few years.
New York.
In New York, yeah. She goes to Lincoln Center every day. I can't even imagine, at 14. And So the family, and I love what Dana, their mom, said. She said, she's 14, but she's a Bainbridge 14, which means I don't want her just out in New York City by herself, even if she's with other kids. So the parents made a really tough decision that one parent would live with her and the other parent would live with the twins, and they would just take turns being with either the two twins or their other daughter. And it was a real hardship on them. And then they realized there's a lot of opportunities for my two little students who are great singers as well and dancers. And so now the whole family is moving to New York City in June, and it breaks my heart, but at the same time, I'm really happy for them because they just need to go out there and fly. And it was so important to me to include them last night. One, because frankly, I wanted them to see the movie as well. I felt like it was an important education. And also because and they also had never danced on Bainbridge Island. They were born and raised here, but they hadn't danced on the island because their studio is very, very strict about letting them share their choreography outside of competition. And so it was the first time I saw them dance live was yesterday, which is also, I was so emotional. I've only seen videos. And so it was so beautiful, but it's so important. And Patty, as an educator, can tell you as well that we take young people and let them learn culture and also celebrate their talents, and that we pass the torch, you know. I just have never been precious about hogging a show and being like, you know, I love to sing, so I want to do more. I really, really, it's so important to me that we pass the torch, highlight the next people who are coming up, and give space to the next generations to come. And as a young person, just like those little girls, they remind me of me and my sister. There weren't a lot of opportunities for me as a child to see somebody of color making it and that looked like me. I didn't see other Asian people, you know, on TV and on Broadway the way it is now. And so, but, you know, and in here on the island specifically, I mean, they have told me themselves that there's not, you know, they just don't see that highlighted here. They see, it's not that there's prejudice necessarily, it's just that we live on a less diverse environment than Seattle, for example. So I just always wanted to be an example to them and to other kids like me that needed a role model to say, hey, everyone can do it and there's space for everyone, and to also show them what it's like to be generous with the space you're given, so that when they grow up, they also pass that torch.
Okay, and maybe can you tell the people who might view this later, is there a website they could go to find out get these dates and times and stuff that perhaps would help, and a little bit of advertising for you here as we wrap it up?
Thank you. Yes, they can go to BainbridgeCurrents.com, and all of our events are listed there, and our future events will be listed there as well.
BainbridgeCurrents.com. Excellent. Well, anyway, we're towards the end here, unless we have any final questions from either Rita or Ann. I think we've and I'll give you the last word, Stephanie, since I know you're excited about it. For our people, for the last couple of minutes here, any kind of wrap up that you want to tell us?
I think Lena had a question.
Yeah, can you hear me okay? My sound is kind of getting crackly. Everybody can hear me okay? Okay, so just to add on to the promotional piece from the BISC standpoint, we have been promoting it in our weekly email. I started yesterday. So not only did we get the Strawberry Fest, the AAPI Heritage Month announcement is included to all of our membership, but also Strawberry Fest, June 1st, Asian American, the lineup that I pulled from the website, the lineup of all the things, including the raffle information, all of that you guys already have out there, literally pulled it to our world in BISC and started promoting that yesterday. So I'm going to fine tune it again. It'll run again in the coming week. So if anybody, to answer your question, how do we promote it? Anybody who's going to watch this later, you can also go to the BISC website and look at our weekly email, and there's a section just on this. So there you have it.
Okay.
Thank
Well,
you.
let's say thank you to our presenters today so much. We certainly appreciate Stephanie Reese, Patty Bell, and great success both this year and into the future.